Here it is. It's red, two-door. Go over stuff that's wrong with it. Cracked front bumper. A little chewed up. Needs a side skirt. Needs tires. I mean, overall, the body's in good shape. Really good shape. Picked it up in A-Town, I think it was. A little few things on this side. I got a pretty dark tint all the way around. We need to fix the motor for the pop rear glass. Has a lot of wiring stuff that needs fixed. It does need new door pins like every other S10 Blazer. We do need another trim bezel like every other Chevy Blazer, Chevy S10 Blazer. But overall, the interior is all there in good shape. The wiring, he got a new harness for all this craziness. I don't know what they were trying to do there. The DS18 N-Dash doubled in. They wired it weird. I was trying to mess with the button, trying to get it to work. This thing don't work. Or the wiring, I don't know what they did. I took this wire because it was tied into here. I was like, that shouldn't be there. I cut it off and then the radio stopped working. So I think they wired it to that. But overall, interior is pretty clean. Needs new grill cover. The dash is not crazy cracked. It's still down. It needs, of course, it needs those vents and the grills. Gotta pick up the door. Of course, it needs a paint job. Every other S10 Blazer. Today, so far, the thing that has mechanically wrong, it needs a water coolant temp sensor. That's, let me see if I can get in there. Yeah, well, can't get in there. It's too dark. But it is broken, not working, not plugged in. The plug that goes to it, like the plug connection part, this part is broken off on it. So we got that new one, we gotta put it in. We're gonna try to do now here in a little bit. It also needs an oil pressure sensor, which he forgot to buy. Then needs a new battery tray, but he has got a new one. So looks like stock. Good. Here's the wiring harness for the steering column. The battery tie down, and he got some door pins and bushings. So right now I'm gonna get the tools together that I need to take off the intake, and then we'll go from there to get to a coolant sensor. All right, I got a better view, better picture of what we need. There it is. That's the one we're gonna replace right now. It's on the driver's side in between two of the manifolds, exhaust manifolds. I found that a 19-inch deep socket will fit. Let me set you up. So, like I said, 19 will fit good. So, let me get to taking the old one off. Let's see if I can get in here. There we see the first problem. Okay. First problem. Well, that won't work. So let me all right. Luckily I had the size. It was the biggest size I have in a wrench. I got a 19-inch open and closed wrench. I have the closed end on it now. I know I wish I could give you a better view, but it's really tight in here to get it. This is one of the things that wasn't working, so we couldn't see how the temperature was reading. Because for one thing, the wire was, this plug was like somewhere else, wasn't even connected. And then we looked at it and it was like, oh, it's broken. That's probably why. They probably broke it. I don't know how they broke it. Supposedly this one has another engine in it from, it's not the original engine that came in it. The guy put another one in it. I think the body has over 200,000 miles on it. But after I got my two-door Blazer, which is like one of my bucket list cars, there goes the water. We'll put that in. Immediately put the other one in so we won't lose too much coolant, which I don't even think this has coolant. I think it's just water. It smells coolant. I guess it had a little bit. Start it by hand. And then it already has some thread sealant on there, so we don't have to pick none of that. We'll just go with tightening on. Oh, like I was saying, yeah, after I got my two-door Blazer, it's picked up pretty cheap. I think I paid $900. It wasn't running when I got it. Story, I just needed a fuel pump and some wiring. That's the little cut underneath and a few wiring problems, but overall, it wasn't too much. This one, I think he paid $18 for it, $17, $18. He trailered it home because they didn't want to drive it that far. Cause we live in Corpus, and it was all in the side of Houston. And remember, guys, you don't need too much torque on this thing. Just hand tight. Make sure it's. I think this does have. I don't know if it has steel heads or aluminum heads, but just be on the safe side. Just till you feel a little bit too much resistance, and you should be good. Yeah, so after I got my Blazer, my friend wanted one too, because they're awesome. So he found it. We got a good deal. Now where's the wire? We found the wire the other day. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here's the wire. Let me see. There. It's hard for me to make a lot of videos, guys. I would love to make a whole bunch of videos, but as you can see, my daughter in the background. Man, and it's like really close to the steering shaft. Like really close. Probably why they broke it. Why they broke it. Trying to fit it on, or I mean, when I did the engine swap, Let's try and get it lined up with. Yeah, like I was saying, I love to make more videos. I have a lot of parts waiting. Are you ready for me? Just the time to get out here. Sometimes it doesn't feel like being outside. It's ugly weather. Got a garage, but sometimes she doesn't want to be out. And my wife works at night a lot. She's a nurse, so it takes a lot of time. Well, let me see what's going on. It is really close. I might have to turn the sensor around. Okay, I just had to, it's hard to see, but I just had to turn it a few more turns to get the back of the plug to fit in between the plug and the steering shaft, because that's how close it is. And let's see. Now we'll have to wait and see if it moves. So let me wait a little bit, let it warm up, and then we'll go back. Well, no dice on that. The temperature sensor was broken, but the needle hasn't moved, and it's been on for a little over 5 minutes, which it should be hot already. So you can see the oil pressure switch too is not working, sensor. So I don't know. Back to the drawing board. So we'll have to go from there. I can fit my gauge cluster in and see if it's just the gauge. Sometimes the stepper motors go out in those gauges. So go from there. But right now, daughter's getting fussy, and I'll go inside. It's a little hot out here, so I'll get back to you when we find a solution. All right, it's been a couple hours later. I went to go make dinner, came back, try to mess with this just a little bit more. I couldn't figure out what's going on with the coolant sensor as of yet. I tried grounding out one of the wires to see if the gauge moved. The gauge didn't want to move either way. I squeezed the little clips down a little bit more, and then I plugged it back in, and we'll see what happens. But I also needed to fit this battery tray that he got. I fit it in. Good thing I fit it in because there was a wire in here that was cut. So I just taped it up for now. It wasn't cut through, it's just kind of like a chafe mark. And fit his new battery tray in. The reason I took the light out because I dropped one of the clips that holds, like a little seat clip pinched together. It fell through. It was all the way in there. Pain in the ass. But that's all I could do right now. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to switch out the gauge cluster out of my Blazer and see if it works on this one, see if the gauge is working or not, if it's the sending unit, and we'll keep trying from there. Also, his plans to do with this is he bought 2-inch drop springs, and he wants to do a 4-inch drop in the back. Same drop as mine. Well, he got 3-inch drop springs. I bet. Yeah, I think he got 3-inch. So sooner or later we'll put those on too. But let me see. But yeah, I'll end the video here. And halfway success. I got the battery tray in. Couldn't figure out the coolant sensor, but let's see what we can do with that. Yeah, that's it for today. Pull it back out, bring my Camaro in, and call it a night. We'll check you later on the next one. So it's been a few months from the last clip I showed you. I was working on the temperature thermostat switch, the coolant thermostat sensor, and fixed that. The gauge didn't want to work for some reason. Then I went to trying to get it running right, changed plugs. The plugs were never changed. The wires were never changed, or they were, but they weren't on there correctly. Replaced. It didn't want, like, it would have long starts. Like, it'll take forever to start. Crank. Changed the crank position sensor, fixed it, started right up. And then we changed the distributor cam sensor that's underneath the distributor cap. That helped too, starting it. And we got it running good, but then it would flood out. Like the idle will fluctuate up and down. I was like, all right, probably the fuel pressure regulator, but it's in the intake. Take the intake off, did all that. It was one of those just kind of like trial and error. I didn't want to go too much into making video for it, but upon getting it running good, it used to have like a slight little knock. Couldn't tell, maybe it was a flywheel, maybe cracked flywheel. So we finally got it running good, and the motor is knocking. So I just got it out of the engine bay. V6 4.3, and this is what's left in here. Left my flashlight in there. God dang it. Yeah, we're gonna have to replace motor mounts, that's for sure. Clean it all up, and then our plans are to do the rod bearings, crank bearings, rod bearings, crank bearings, new piston rings, new valve stem seats, all seals, because this thing is leaking everywhere. I think it has like 200 and something thousand miles. So yeah, this is the update. I just got on the engine stand. It looks like it's gonna rain here in a bit too. But on the next episode of this, my friend's Red Blazer Extreme, I'm gonna be taking it apart and expecting to see where it went wrong. If there's a cam bearing, a crank bearing, or rod bearing. But yeah, stay tuned, and we'll get back to work on this Extreme Blazer. I know it's been a few months between that. Had to work on a Tahoe, did the motor, engine out, got that thing going, working on my Camaro. I still need to work on my Mazda. My Blazer is pretty much ready to go. But yeah, stay tuned and see what's wrong with this engine.